A Light Within Darkness Chapter 101 Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Matias sat across from her superior in the Water Cast Nel M'Lath, with the older matronly Tao slowly bringing her hands together. So. You say that the man. Your master is truly that powerful that he could be a threat to a large Tao force on his own. There was no hesitation in Matias's expression as she shook her head and said with no uncertainty. Yes, Lady Nel M'Lath. He preaches knowledge and in doing so. He spoke of the neverborn and their ilk in the warp. The younger Tao visibly shuddered before she spoke more quietly. It was quite terrifying. And I could feel my very soul crying out in fear as he ripped a great demon from the warp itself, only to devour it with the demon being unable to resist. There was some silence for a moment as Nel M'Lath absorbed the information before she took a breath and asked. What did he tell you of the warp? Knowledge of it is restricted for a good reason after all. First, our hymns protect our souls from the warp's predations, along with our souls becoming naturally stronger via our cultivation, so it's not as dangerous for us to learn. However, he was very exact about the warp and its four major threats. Left unsaid was Matias being smart enough not to name them. For to utter the name of a god was to gain said god's attention. But he did explain the four's nature, what they represent, and how their resources could be used for their best effect. So do we plan to bring more brothers and sisters into the sect, Lady Nel M'Lath? No. Nel M'Lath said calmly as she took a draught from her drink, while Matias closed her eyes as she realized why she said no with no hesitation. We have not seen the true effects of this cultivation on the people of the Tao Empire. For now, the volunteers will do more than enough to gain information on the sect master. There was a silence for a while before Matias spoke bluntly. If the planet's ethereals try anything, there will be blood, and the Tao have no weapons that can break the sect's defenses without causing widespread planetary damage. And Nel M'Lath looked directly at Matias and said calmly. From outside the sect indeed. But what if from within the sect past its mystical defenses? Matias squirmed as it felt like a hand was gently squeezing her heart and very soul, making her whisper. Lady Nel M'Lath. We all have soul-bound oaths. I can literally feel my heart being gripped by the vow. Should I even think to agree to do so, I will die here on the spot. Nel M'Lath's face pursed slightly at the clear discomfort she was in before she exhaled and spoke more gently. Forget I said anything. I am not saying the sect master will need to be dealt with. But he and the Eldar around him, along with his human disciples, could prove troublesome. To that, Matias could only give a wry nod. Although she understood the path of the greater good, she was already becoming well aware of the path of cultivation, no matter how she spec'd herself into helping others. It was a path based on making herself stronger, longer-lived, and a higher being than her other Tao caste members. There was a bit of silence as both ladies drank their herbal drinks before Matias spoke again, seriously but with a hint of amusement. Jake Barris, the sect master, despite how he displays himself, is a simple man. He postures for his pride and face, but in reality, he is too busy cultivating himself and fornicating with his two Eldar wives to actually interfere with Tao politics on this world. The Water Cast great diplomatic Nel M'Lath sniffed before she shook her head in amazement as she lifted up one of her very ample breasts before dropping it down with a muffled thump of soft flesh colliding as she seemingly recited. The Guvesa are simple in their minds and desires most of the time. It's only the extremely xenophobic Imperials that our slight gene alterations don't at least make them think twice of having us as friends. Nel M'Lath spoke with Matias, giving a small knowing smile. Indeed. Even the sect master has given my Mamoris a great deal of glances, ufufu. Humans are at least honest in that way. Then, after a moment of amusement, Nel M'Lath lost her amusement as she looked at a data slate, and she grimaced. Our air caste scouts have picked up orc scouts drifting into the system on their powered meteors. To which Matias likewise grimaced and spoke. The greenskins. They do not follow the logic of the greater good at all. And Matias raised an eyebrow as she looked at her mentor and asked. Lady Nel M'Lath, you wish to have the sect master do something, don't you? Nel M'Lath herself took a soft sip of her drink before she spoke calmly. Yes, it could not hurt to see what the potential of this cultivation is. While also dealing with a threat that we cannot negotiate with and will inevitably lose lives against.